I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Louie Stowell, author of the best-selling A Bad God's Guide series, featuring Loki, the trickster god, and master of chaos and mayhem. The books are packed full of laugh-out-loud moments and are responsible for introducing me to my new favourite expression, courtesy of Thor, which is bum thunder. So let's find out a little bit more, and can I ask you to give a warm welcome to Louie Stowell.
Hi. I feel welcomed.
So, Louie, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, but what I really want you all to do is start thinking in your heads, because my questions, that you're going to ask such better questions than me. Mine are a bit rubbish. So just think about what sort of questions do you really want to ask Louie, and then she's going to ask you at the end, aren't you, if you've got any. And we've got a microphone so we can come and dash to you so that she can hear you as well. So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions to get started. So, Louie, basically, first of all, can you just tell me a little bit about your new book, A Bad God's Guide to Making Enemies, and kind of what escapades does Loki get into this time?
So this time it's about Loki trying to do something nice for Georgina. So Georgina's one of his friends. Well, they've had a rocky relationship so far, but now they're friends. Unfortunately, he does something very nice for her that goes horribly wrong. So the book's a little bit about him trying to make it up to Georgina while also in kind of under threat of death. So an elf comes to town who Loki has insulted in the past. Loki insults a lot of people, so he's actually forgotten that he insulted this elf, and the elf comes and challenges him to a duel to the death. Loki's been learning magic, but he's still not very good at it because he hasn't practiced very much. The elf has been practicing magic for thousands of years, so it's not a very fair fight. So it's sort of Loki finally, because he's been in a mortal body for a while, realising what that means, as in he could die. So it's a kind of scary moment for Loki, but also about the personal story of him trying to make it up to Georgina.
Wow, it's the only one of them I haven't read yet, so I'm an going to get my own copy later on. And where did the idea of featuring Loki in a story come from? Where was that?
So I've always loved Norse myths. I've always loved Viking stories. I was very into Wagner as a child, which I know is unusual, but the Ring Cycle is based on Norse mythology as well. So I love those stories, and they're the kind of German version of Norse myths. Then I love Tolkien, which also was a kind of way into the Norse myths. Tolkien very much does not have a Loki analogue, unless you count maybe Tom Bombadil, which I could do an essay on now, but I won't. But I think that kind of idea of the trickster, I've enjoyed that in lots of different stories. So the Monkey King, who appears in the Journey into the West, Chinese myths, and then Anansi. So there's tricksters in all versions, but what I like about Loki is he's never one thing, Sometimes he's a horse, sometimes he's a person, sometimes he's a woman, sometimes he's a man, and that gives you a lot of room to explore. And also because he's an outsider, and basically the other gods don't like him very much because he often does terrible things to them. So basically that idea of the character who's the outsider, who's the trickster, but also has the potential to be good, because he's never like the devil. He's always just borderline until towards the ends of the myths, when he does something so bad that it's sort of he becomes irredeemable. But I took him out of the stories before that happened.
Fabulous. So now with the stories as well, now obviously you illustrate the stories as well as obviously write the stories. So I just wondered how, kind of what comes first? Does the story come first, or do you get a doodling idea and then that evolves into a story?
So I drew the character first, and I went through quite a few versions of him. He had different hairline. He always had the spiky hair. But he had, kind of like a widow's peak first, and we realised that made him look too old, because he's supposed to be 11 and not, 15 or whatever. And so I doodle a lot of the characters, but then I wrote the words primarily first. But what I tend to do is write myself little descriptions of what's going to happen in the pictures. So the pictures are always in my mind, it's just they tend to be in words first. And quite often I'll take an image and put it in the manuscript. Just to remind myself what I'm going to draw later. So it might be a film poster, it might be just someone in a particular pose that I want to have Loki in later.
Fantastic. And now with the, obviously, fantastically visual stories, but for those that can't access the books in the printed form, the books are available in audio, which is fantastic. So they're expertly narrated by Ben Wilbond. I don't know if have you heard them?
I have heard them. I listen to them quite often, actually, because when I'm writing the next book, I tend to go back and listen to the previous audiobook. But yeah, he does a great job. Because each new book there'll be a new character, and I can't wait to see how he does the voice. And I don't think it's giving too much away that he makes the elf German. And it was just completely out of left field. But now I'm like, well, when I have dwarves in the book, they have to be French. So, but he's an amazing comedy performer, so it does a really good job. And
some of the voices that he comes up with, how you can't imagine it's the same
Heimdall,
person. It's absolutely brilliant.
Oh, Loki, no.
Does hearing it in audio give you a new perspective to the story?
It does, yeah.
And
sometimes it makes me notice details in a different way. And obviously, it has to be adapted because it's an illustrated book. So we kind of go through a process of turning it more into an audio script, which means kind of adding description, but also kind of sound effects. And then the audio producers will come up with stuff of their own that I didn't know was possible. But yeah, it's an adaptation. It's not just a straight reading.
No, the audio effects are fantastic as well. The sound effects and soundscapes they put in, it really brings it together.
But yeah, and I think it kind of sometimes reminds me, I don't know, some of the more emotional stuff as well. Like he kind of, tugs your heartstrings as well as making you laugh.
Brilliant, yeah. So you've just slightly touched on this actually, but when you were growing up, what were your favourite stories that you drew inspiration from?
So I love funny stories, so I loved Just William when I was a kid. So very old stories, like they were, an author who was dead before I was born, but that idea of, a character who causes mischief and, but is very charming with it. And then, Tolkien was my first love as well.
I also read that you, one that went close to my heart that I'd forgotten reading as a child was Vlad the Drac.
Oh, that was so good.
I love Vlad the Drac.
I loved vampire stories as well. So my first novel that's not published was a vampire story. So I love Vlad the Drac. There's also Fangs the Vampire Bat by Ted Hughes, which is illustrated by Chris Riddell, and sort of amazing super team up. So there's a lot of these stories that get forgotten, and I think some stories that I loved growing up were very dark, and they're things that would never get published now. So I think that Fangs the Vampire Bat, that would not make it past a publisher now, because it's just so depressing, but it's amazing.
Now, one last question from me. So Loki's a trickster god, obviously, who can transform into anything. So I just wondered if you could change into anything, what would it be, do you think?
Definitely something that can fly. So I think a bird of some kind, or just to mess with everyone, some kind of flying dinosaur and just hover over London.
That was what I was. So I was going to, well, not a flying dinosaur. I was going to change into a dinosaur. That would be mine,
T-Rex, that'd be good.
Definitely.
Not a T-Rex because you'd never get anything open with your little hands.
Maybe a Diplodocus or something. I quite fancy.
Yeah,
that's mine.
Relaxing.
Thank you very much. So that was just a little insight, Louie, into you as well. But as I said, I'm hoping that's got you thinking a little bit. And towards the end, Loki will ask you.
Loki.
Louie will ask
I'll take it. Yeah.
About any other questions that you've got. So start thinking about those. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Louie.
Yes.
So that we're going to just move it out of the way.
I'm going to take this out of the way because I will need some people coming up on stage with me.
So when you're coming up on stage, everybody, just be careful as you come up. So there's a step and a block here, and there's one at the end here. But this will probably be your easiest option on this way.
And now I've got some sort of clicker. Here we are. Okay, so obviously I just talked a bit about my books, but I thought I'd talk a little bit about myself too as a human being. But I wanted to do that in the form of a game. Has anyone played Two Truths and a Lie before? Okay, so, I need the giant slide of my face there so you can have some context. So I say 3 statements about myself. 2 of them will be true, 1 of them will be a lie, and you have to guess which is which. So, first, let's go back to the very beginning when I was born. So, statement 1, I was born in London. Statement 2, I was born on a Saturday. Statement 3, I was born out of a giant egg in a magical forest. So, hands up if you think London was the lie. Hands up if you think Saturday was the lie. Hands up if you think giant magical egg was the lie. Okay, I gave you an easy one to start off with. Next, I have owned some pets in my life. Statement 1, I have a dog. Statement 2, I used to have a newt. Statement 3, I have a snake. Who thinks that dog is the lie? Who thinks that newt is the lie? Who thinks that snake is the lie? Snake is the lie. Now, I have done some interesting dramatic things in my life, or things have happened to me. So these are 3 things that may or may not have happened. Number 1, I was once bitten on the face by a large dog. 2, I was once on television playing the trumpet with my band. 3, I once met the king, but before he was the king, when he was Prince Charles. So, who thinks that the dog biting my face was the lie? Who thinks that me being on television with my band was the lie? Who thinks me meeting the king was the lie? The king was the lie. I never have met the king. But yes, I generally lead quite a quiet life, but those were some of the dramatic portions from it. Now, you're probably here to hear about my books rather than about dogs. Though people always want to know if I've got a dog, and I do have a dog. So yes, the Norse myths are the source of my inspiration. I've always loved them. I love how weird they are. So the belief is that the universe is a giant tree, and off that tree come various realms. They're normally referred to as the 9 realms. Sometimes they sort of count them up differently. So there are potentially 2 elven realms, for instance. There's a dwarven realm, there's a realm of fire, and hell, which is a personal favourite of mine because it's very confusing, and I like being confusing. So hell is ruled over by someone called Hel. So really confusing. Hel is one of Loki's children. He has quite a few children. He is both a mother and a father, so sometimes she. Once Loki turned into a horse and gave birth to a horse, and that horse had 8 legs, and then he gave that horse to Odin as Odin's steed. So that's some convenient childcare. And he also has a giant snake, which you can see on the picture there, which is known as the world serpent. Yes?
The snake is called Jormungand and it's Loki's son.
Yes, it is. Jormungand. That's good knowledge. Normally people don't know that. It's amazing. So yes, Jormungand is a snake. Hel is his daughter. She's half corpse, half child. Actually, they never say her age. She could be any age, really, but, youngish. She's Loki's daughter. And yes, and Sleipnir is the 8-legged horse. He also has some human children. Now, in my story, I've taken Loki out of the myths before all the myths have happened. So he's always referring back to things that have happened, but there's a few things that haven't happened yet in my book, because they're the parts where Loki gets so bad that he could not be redeemable. So one of the things he does that's terrible is he kills Odin's son, Balder. Balder the Beautiful. He's the most beautiful of all the gods. And in revenge for this, Odin kills Loki's children. And he doesn't just kill his children. Now's a long word you're going to learn, eviscerates them. So he takes out their intestines, and he ties up Loki with those intestines, and above Loki, he puts a giant snake. Not the sun snake, but Fangy, I'm calling him. He's not called that in the myths. But a giant snake that's going to drip venom onto Loki for all eternity. Another thing I learned doing these books, actually, was the difference between poison and venom. Poison is when it kind of, it goes on your skin or something, but venom is when they inject it into you. So it's venom when it's a snake. In this case, actually, it's not injecting it, it's dripping. But I decided to take Loki out of the story before that happened. So he's been sent down to Earth as a mortal child, as a kind of penance, as to become a better person. Yes? So that has happened yet. Actually, I didn't mention him, did I? Well done. Yes, so Fenrir is currently bound somewhere, but we shall see what happens to him later. Because yes, the idea is at Ragnarok, Fenrir will bounce free, Loki will be freed from the horrible dungeon, and he's going to lead an army of giants. So my Odin has sent Loki down before any of that's happened, so hopefully he will not lead an army of evil giants, but I can't promise anything over the course of the stories. Now, I imagine some of you will have read... Oh, yes?
Really quickly, just to say, having read the 3rd book, I can really understand why Loki would want to kill Balder.
Balder's really annoying, right? Yeah,
He's like saying that Loki's the bad guy.
I know. Balder's like the perfect guy who just, I would want to kill him. He's too perfect. And he's also quite self-righteous as well. Now, I know some of you have read the books already, but I thought we could do a little recap for anyone that maybe the parents haven't read them, or even if you just can't remember what happened in the early books. So, like a TV show, we're going to do previously on. For this, I need some volunteers. Now, I first need an adult volunteer. Go on, he actually put his hand up on his own rather than being... You might want to take your hat off for a second. Just come on up, yep. And then some children. Okay, one there. One up there. Okay, and one there. I will need more than this, but I need to keep track of how many people I've got now. Okay, come on down. Okay, one more for now. Yep. Okay. Just wait until everyone enters the stage. No, actually, you can have your costume first. So, you will be playing the part of adult Loki. Sorry, it's a slightly small wig. Okay, big hair, big dreams. Okay, so we have adult Loki. Now we have... Okay. You two are going to perform the role of the Rainbow Bridge.
Well, we're brothers, so that makes sense.
Okay, so you will... Okay, so we don't want it too close to the end of the stage, so you go that way a bit. Maybe here. And no, you want to come up this end, so you hold the other end. This way. Okay, I'm going to hold that Rainbow Bridge. Okay, and then maybe step back a little bit, because I would want you to stand in front of it just there. And you two, you're going to hide behind the Rainbow Bridge for a moment. This will all make sense in a second, I promise. Okay. Child Loki. Child Thor. Okay, there you go. Have you? Okay, right. Now, I will play the part of Odin. Basically, because I don't want to force anyone to wear this eye patch, because it's quite uncomfortable. Okay. Let's see if I can do this without completely ruining my microphone. There we go. Okay. Loki, you have cut off the hair of the goddess Sif, and you must be punished. So, I will give you a choice. You can have an eternity of snake torture, or you can become an 11-year-old boy and live on Earth. What do you want?
I'll take the snake.
Sorry. That's not an option. You will be punished by being a boy. Now, no, you don't turn into a boy yet. What I want you to do is fall down the Rainbow Bridge dramatically screaming.
No, you can't land on your bottom in a puddle.
Okay, yeah, sorry, you got to land on your bottom of a puddle. Okay. Now, thank you, sir. You are good. You don't have to be dead. You just have to be, a sore bottom. Right, I'm going to take this off now. So now, the Rainbow Bridge, drop it to the floor, and out spring Child Loki and Child Thor.
Child Thor lands on Child Loki's head, and the Child Loki's head has a lot of problems.
Okay, so Rainbow Bridge, you may sit down. Thank you very much. Round of applause for the Rainbow Bridge, and also for adult Loki. Now, Loki, I've got some bad news for you. You're on Earth now, and something terrible is going to happen to you. And I want you to react emotionally when I tell you what that thing is, like it's the worst news you've ever had. Okay, you must go to school. That is a good face. I think you need to face them. Okay, and now I need some sort of noise to show how awful it is. No! Yes, that's the good stuff. Yes, round of applause. Yes. Okay, now Thor on Earth, things aren't going to be quite so bad for you. You have to be mortal, yes, and you have to keep an eye on Loki, but you've discovered that you have a magical power that you didn't have as a god. The power of Bum Thunder. So, I want you to raise your hammer and say, I am Thor, god of Bum Thunder.
I am the Thor full of bum.
And then fart on Loki. Go on, just raise a leg. And Loki, react like it's the worst smell you've ever had in your entire life. Now, it's not all bad, because Loki makes a friend. Does anyone want to come down and be Valerie? Yeah? You've got to have an adult Valerie, are we? No, we have a child Valerie. Come on, yeah. Come on, Valerie. Okay. Now, Valerie and Loki make friends. Valerie has a number of hobbies, but one of her favorite hobbies is riding. Okay, give me your best clip, clop, I'm a horse noise. Nay.
No.
Nay. Right, and now you're friends with Loki. Shake hands. Now, all is good, right? Everything is great. Except something bad is going to happen. Something bad always happens. That's how stories keep going. So I'd like another volunteer. Come on up. Now, I want you to all fall asleep. You don't have to lie on the floor. You can just snore and close your eyes. And thought maybe you want to snuggle up with your hammer. And you're going to creep onto stage. And just in case anyone hasn't read book 2, I'm not going to say who you're playing, but you're going to steal Thor's hammer and then take it away. Sneaky. Nice. Okay, you're going to sneak over there quietly. Right. And you can sit down. Or you can sit down there if you want. Okay, Thor, I want you to wake up. And you're going to be so angry that your hammer is missing, you're going to blame Loki. No, Loki still... Wake up, Loki. Okay, you're going to say, it was you.
It was you.
Loki, for once, it didn't do it. You're saying, I am innocent.
I am innocent.
But, okay, so Loki has to do something. He has to solve the crime. So he has to become a detective. Oh, I think you might need to take the hair off, actually. There we go. Now, Loki is a terrible detective. He doesn't, look for clues and follow the evidence. He just decides who it was. So, Loki makes a new friend. Not sorry, Loki. Georgina makes it. Sorry, I can't do words today. Valerie makes a new friend. Who wants to be Georgina, Valerie's new friend? Okay, come on up. Okay, so, like Valerie, Georgina likes horses.
I am a horse.
Excellent. Okay, so we have Georgina. Now, Loki is jealous that Valerie has a new friend. So, Loki, you're going to say, it was you.
It was you.
Now, it wasn't. And luckily, we find the hammer. We get it back. Some terrible stuff happens in the meantime, but it is all okay, and Thor gets his hammer back. All should be fine. But, unfortunately, in this world, everything isn't fine. Because there's always villains lurking, and those villains in this world are giants. So, okay, one giant. We need some more giants. Okay, up there. Okay. And any more giants for any more? Oh, we can just have 2 giants. Okay, right. Okay, right. Now, just to simplify the plot here, to represent the battle between good and evil, you're going to chase them off the stage, screaming, okay? Go for it. And because good triumphs over evil, you're going to chase them back again. And all is well, and that takes us to the end of book 2. Now, giants, you may sit down. Loki, though, I need you to stay. Where's my Loki? There's my Loki. Okay. Georgina and Valerie also need to stay, yes. Loki, you're no longer Detective Loki. No, actually, you know what? Because a new villain arrives, and that villain is Loki himself, because he falls under a terrible spell. Now, I want you to all represent that magic spell and wave your arms at Loki. It's a cursed ring. And in this curse, Loki turns into a wolf and attacks Thor. You can attack Thor in a non-violent manner. But Valerie and Georgina stop him, so grab Loki. Okay, and Loki is shocked into returning to himself. And he's very sorry, so I want you to apologize to everyone, Loki. Yeah. Apologize to the audience too. You're very sorry. Okay. And this takes us to the end of book 3. So thank you so much to our actors. You were incredible. Thank you very much. You may return to your seats. So that's just a little recap of those books. Now, in book 4, which some of you may not have read, as I said, he tries to do something nice for Georgina, he tries to spell, goes horribly wrong, and then he is confronted with a terrible enemy, Vanir the elf. Now, this elf is based on elves in Norse mythology. The only named elf in Norse mythology is Volund, the smith, who makes amazing jewelry. So we see here this skull that he's made. He hasn't actually made the skull, he has ripped it out of his enemies, but he has put lovely jewels all over it. So Volund, not a great guy, and this is his son, Vanir, who has come for revenge on Loki. So Loki has to face the fact that he could die in this duel, and he has to actually practice his magic for once, which he very rarely does. So we meet elves, and in this world, elves, when we've kind of perceived aliens, we often think that, we think we've seen aliens, but actually what we've seen is elves in disguise. One of the big themes of this book is enemies. So we have some of my favourite enemies up here. Does anyone have any favourite enemies from stories? Yes? Bunny versus monkey. Anyone else got any favourite enemies? Yes? Which one's evil? Barcelona. Barcelona wants to eat your brains. That is a new thing I've learnt today, yes. Batman and the Joker. Now, don't you feel bad for all Batman's other villains? Because everyone always mentions the Joker. And if you're the Scarecrow...
Batman and the Penguin.
Okay, this is some penguin justice, yeah.
Mayor Brown and Dennis.
Oh, that's good. Mayor Brown and Dennis. That's an unusual one. I like it. Yes, no, I love it. Yes?
There's also
Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy. I always think it's interesting whether people pick Voldemort or Draco, because I feel like Draco's his kind of like peer enemy, isn't he? And then there's Voldemort is his kind of adult enemy.
He's got to be his enemy, otherwise it's a very good story.
No, it would be rubbish. So enemies make for a good story, I find. Now, I'm going to do some drawing. Now, what I quite like about drawing in these circumstances is I don't really have to think about what to draw because I ask people for ideas. And it's very relaxing. So, well, first, actually, shall I show you how to draw Loki? Would that be a good start?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, I'll start off with Loki, and then we can go from there. So when I was designing Loki, I was thinking about hairstyles, and hairstyles that I've enjoyed from other stories. And I love Dennis the Menace's hair. So I thought maybe I'll kind of channel that a bit. But also I really liked reading Dragon Ball. So that's a little bit of the hair from that as well. Because Dennis's is straighter, so I've kind of got a bit of the bouffant element of Dragon Ball's hair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spikes of hair always. And then he's got kind of quite a long face and a swoosh of hair like that. Now, I made his hair black. I'm not going to colour it in right now because that'll take me forever. But in the myths, he actually has red hair, but I went with black hair because Thor also has red hair, and because I'm drawing in black and white, they would risk looking too similar. So it's quite a simple cartoony style, so I'll have him with just got 2 simple circles for eyes. And then I often draw his eyebrows going down in the middle, which I call angry eyebrows. And then he's got a very pointy nose. But with those angry eyebrows, you could have him looking cheeky or you could have him looking angry. So this is a democracy, so who votes it should be angry? Put your hands up. Who votes cheeky? I think cheeky just won. But if you ever want to draw him looking angry yourself, you just do the mouth turning down. But for cheeky, it's mouth turning up in a cheeky grin. If you want to make him look downright evil, then you can add some fangy teeth, like this. Then he has quite a thin neck. He's quite kind of generally skinny and pointy. And I've drawn sort of him and Thor are in contrast, so Thor's much more muscular, much more sporty. I'm going to draw his arms out like this, and I will tell you why in a second. Okay. And then shorts. So when I was designing Loki's costume, I was partly thinking, I'm going to have to draw this hundreds of times per book, so I want it as simple as possible. But I was also thinking, if people want to dress up as Loki for World Book Day or something, I want to give them an easy life. Because I feel like if you like Loki, you probably don't want to get, you're not going to be the most sort of fussy person, so you might want an easy costume. So basically all you need is an L on your shirt and some shorts. And then he's got very scruffy socks. Okay, so the reason I did him with his hands out, because I thought we could draw him holding something. So I'd like some suggestions for things he could hold that he could use to cause mischief. Yeah.
Loki, a bad God's guide.
So he's going to have his own diary to give him some ideas of terrible things he could do. I mean, actually, yeah, kind of just looking back at his own past deeds would inspire him to do some pretty bad stuff. Okay, I'm just going to do little scribbles like that rather than drawing all the tiny drawings, because I will be there forever. Yes? His children as babies. Okay, so let's see if I can do this. So, okay, so we're going to have a baby world serpent. It's like a little snakelet. And a wolf puppy. Okay, some of them are going to have to rest on his arm, I think. So let's have the wolf puppy resting on his arm like that. When my dog was a puppy, she used to sleep on my arm like that, on my lap. So, okay, so we're going to have the big eyes for the puppy, his little nose. Because he does start off quite small, actually, and just gets bigger and bigger until they chuck him out of Asgard because he's scary. And then who else we've got? We've got Hel. Maybe she can go on here. On his shoulder, that's a good idea. So let's have a baby that's half corpse and half normal baby. Okay, so we're going to have the sort of black dead eye socket there. And nice baby smile, and then just like skull teeth there and some sort of rotting flesh. Lovely. So just going to have, babies don't have long hair, do they? But anyway, this baby's got long hair just to prove that side is human. Okay, and then got some skull blood bones there. Okay, so we've got Hel, we've got Jormungand, we've got Fenrir, and we need Sleipnir. Okay, Sleipnir's going to come on over here. So just a little baby horse. With 8 legs, yes. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs, there we go. And a little mane. And so these guys are going to be saying, Daddy. But this one's going to be saying, Mummy. Because he turned into a lady horse to give birth. Mummy. Okay, so we've got our array of his creatures. Okay, I'm going to turn on to the next page to have a bit more space. Okay. Now, I'm going to, just because it always goes through. So, yes, have you got an idea for what I should draw next? Draw Loki's favourite word. Yeah, I was going to say which is it, but that's obvious, isn't it? Okay, so I will draw it as a word, but then I will also draw it as an image. Turds. So my favourite game with my editor is what words can we get away with in a children's book? And this is as far as we've got. But we shall see. Okay, so we've got turds. And then I will draw a little poop emoji there for you, with some stink lines and some flies. And so it's going to be emoji, so I'll just have a face on there as well. There we go. Right. Yes? Draw him getting chased by frost giants. Yes, because Loki is not a fighter. He's a runner away from fights. So I feel like we'll have Does he? Because he can shapeshift. What shall I get him? Should we have him shapeshifting into something as he runs away? Okay, okay, so these flies are not Loki, but this fly is Loki. So he's going to run away. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs. And then, so we've got his little hair like that, just to show. Because Loki can transform himself completely, but what I tend to do is leave a little hint of Loki when I'm drawing him as an animal, just so you know it's him. Okay, so we've got Fly Loki running away, and then some frost giants. So I'm just going to do cartoony frost giants here to save time. There we go. Roar. Okay, what's the frost giant saying to him? Yeah. I can come back. Yes.
So, I'll do this, but can I also do the next one?
Sure.
He should say, where are you, Loki? Because we might not see him if he's a fly.
That's true, yeah. Where are you, Loki? Obviously frost giants can shapeshift themselves, so they could just, but I suppose if they didn't see him shapeshift, then they'd miss him. But did you want to add a drawing as well?
Yes, what I was thinking, Valerie and Georgina like horses, right?
Yep.
So, Valerie and Georgina partying with horses.
Oh, that's nice. It's a horse party. Okay, so Valerie, she's always got her 2 plaits. Okay. Now, what would you do at a horse party?
You might put fake tails on your boys.
Okay, fake tails. Okay, they're going to wear some fake tails. Okay, so she's got her little T-shirt with the aliens on it. Okay, so she's going to have a tail. Okay, her legs coming off the thing there. Okay, so she's having a good time, laughing, smiling. And Georgina. And presumably I'll also do a horse as well. Okay, so maybe she could be holding a carrot for the horse or something?
Maybe an apple.
An apple for the horse, yeah? Okay, so we've got an apple for the horse. There we go. And Georgina.
And Georgina could be holding the carrot.
What's Georgina holding?
The carrot.
Oh, the carrot, yes. Yes. Carrots and apples, lucky horses. Drawing on one of these boards, I've always got to make sure it doesn't wobble too much and fall over. Okay. Okay, so she's going to have a carrot. Okay. Nice big carrot. And I've realised I've not left much room for the horse, so let me find some horse space. Okay. Okay, so let's have a horse over here, shall we? Okay. Can be a little horse, more of a pony. Because I think they do ride ponies rather than horses, because a full-grown horse would be for a full-grown human. Okay, we've got a pony here. Definitely wants some apple and carrot. What's he saying? Yum. The horse that said yum. Okay, right. Okay, right. Any more suggestions? Okay, I'm going to turn this over because I've run out of space here. Did we have a suggestion down here?
Maybe you could put like the speech bubble.
Yeah.
Him saying fly.
Oh. So maybe I should have, because I've already done the thing for that. So, but no, that's fine. I'm going to do, maybe you could say something else as well as turds. Or double turds? Double turds. There we go. Okay, right. Any more for any more? Yes.
Thor hitting frost
Thor hitting frost giants with his hammer. Okay, so Thor in his child form, which is how I normally draw him, he has what I call toothpaste hair, because we have a bit of a swoosh of toothpaste almost. You know, like when it comes out of the toothpaste tube. So he's got hair like that, and he's got quite a square face. And I tend to draw him with bigger eyes than Loki. So he's going to be hitting a frost giant, so I'll come back to. So what's his mood like when he's hitting frost giants? Is he happy? Is he angry? Grr. Yeah?
He's usually happy because he gets to hit one.
He likes frost. Maybe he have his eyebrows down like that, but then he's kind of doing a little slight smile because he's sort of focusing on the smashing of the frost giants. Okay, so yeah, come on. So let's have a hammer. Now, so does anyone know what his hammer's called? Yeah. Mjolnir. Yeah, it's really hard to say, even harder to spell. So that's why I tend to just call it Thor's hammer. So the hammer's handle is quite short, and I don't know if Loki's actually told the story yet of exactly how that happened, but Loki did give the hammer to Thor as a present, but he sort of at the last minute decided he wanted to ruin it for complicated reasons. And so what he did was these dwarves were making the hammer, and Loki turned into a fly, and one of the dwarves was, very focused on his task, and Loki bit the dwarf's eyelid in the form of a fly, which distracted him, and it means he messed up the hammer handle, so the handle is quite short. But it's still, a deeply magical hammer, so he didn't ruin it that much. But yes, so when I draw Mjolnir, it's supposed to have a slightly too short handle. Okay, so we've got Thor kind of coming for the giants. Sorry, this pen is slightly running out. I'm going to swap it over. Okay, right. So he's leaping out at them.
Loki will ever actually tell Georgina or Valerie any of the stories he said. I'll tell you another.
Maybe. Thing is, the one he's always saying about him being a horse, and I feel like I want him almost never to tell that story because I think it's funnier if he just never tells it. Though I do like the story, so I'm torn. But I think some more of the stories he'll definitely tell them because they're good stories, Yeah, long story, tell you later. So, okay, so we're going to have a frost giant here. Okay. Maybe I'll just do a frost giant we haven't met yet. Big ears like that, and yeah, it could be the king, couldn't it? I've never drawn the frost giant king. I don't know what he looks like yet, but he's going to have a beard.
Maybe you could put it in a gift box. You haven't wrote that yet.
I've written the book 5, but I haven't written book 6 yet, so that maybe the frost giant king could be in that. We're definitely going to meet some more frost giants over time.
Funny name.
And yes, most of them will have funny names. And then some of them will have real names from Norse myths as well. Okay, so this frost giant king. I'm imagining the frost giant king doesn't do much fighting himself, so he's not used to it, so he's a bit intimidated by Thor. Actually, maybe I'll do Thor's mouth open so we can do him shouting something at the frost giant. What do you think he should shout at the frost giant? Yeah. I will destroy you! I would believe him. I will destroy you. Okay, brilliant. So we've got our Thor versus giant. There's quite a lot of frost giant kings, actually. They seem to be mostly kings. But yes, so anyone got any last ideas for the last drawing? Doesn't have to be last, but yeah.
Thor fighting on Loki's head.
Excellent. Okay, so I swear I've drawn it once at least.
I think you've drawn Loki's blueprint design.
Oh yeah, I've drawn how to stop him.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's an idea for book 6.
actually have him make the.
That's the one bad thing about the audio.
You can't see the pictures, but you can hear the sound effects, and sometimes that's some good farting. Okay. Sometimes I put in notes for the for Ben Wilbond who reads them, and sometimes my editor takes them out because she says I can't tell him to do that. Because there's one where Loki's talking about billionaires, and I needed someone to do an impression of a billionaire, and I said, can you do an impression of Elon Musk? And he said no. And he didn't say no, sorry, my editor said no, but he did a Russian billionaire that was great. So sometimes you don't have exactly what you want, but you get something else instead, you know? Okay, right, so he's going to be assuming a position of fart. And there we go, really squatting there to get deep into the fart. Okay, he's got his long socks on. Okay. And should I just draw Loki as Loki rather than in any other shape? Okay, so Loki is a fart machine. That's true, so he could reflect his fart back on him. That would be quite good. So Loki's not going to be pleased about this. Okay, so we've got the fart coming out here, big fart cloud hitting Loki in the face. Poor Loki. It is a hard life. Okay, and I feel like he must be standing on a chair or something to account for the fact that he's higher up. Okay. He does seem tall, yeah. You know, some people are like that, especially if they're gods secretly. Does that make you look taller? I should try that. Okay, so there we go. So I feel like he should be saying, I am Thor, god of bomb thunder? No? Or did you have something? Triple what? Triple turds! That's what I've built my career upon. Exactly. Okay, so he's going to be, I am Thor, god of bum thunder. God of triple bum thunder. Okay, I'm going to need to draw 3 farts then. Okay. I love this because I don't have to worry about what I'm going to draw. I just let you tell me. It's brilliant. Okay, so we're going to have 3 farts here. And then this one will hit him later, imagine. Okay. Yeah, well, and then it'll bounce back up again. Okay. Okay. How are we doing for time, by the way? Have we got... Okay, right. Okay, so, well, this is a good grand finale then. But questions from you. So we have someone with a microphone, and I believe they also have a roll of stickers, so that every time anyone who asks a question gets a sticker. Just in case you need an added incentive.
Have you got any spoilers for book 5?
Ooh, okay, I'm trying to do spoilers that aren't too bad, because obviously not everyone will want to know too much. We will meet the goddess Freya properly, and her cats, who smell, and there will be a spell that goes very, very wrong. I feel like I can tell you that without giving too much away. And also I'm doing an activity book that's coming out in March, and that will have a short story in it, which I'm going to tell the story of the day Loki came to Earth, as in what happened before he came to Earth, why did he cut off Sif's hair, a little bit more backstory into that, because in book 1 I only describe it very, very briefly, so I thought I wanted to delve into that a bit more. Yes, anyone else? More questions? Someone at the back there, so we're just going to wait and take the, I'm going to drink some drink while you're going up there with the microphone.
Dummy face.
I think that's more of a comment than a question, but yeah. I love that you had to run all the way up there for that as well. You just wanted a sticker, didn't you? Okay, we've got someone at the front here. This better be a question.
When is book 5 coming out?
So book 5 is out next September, but the activity book's coming out in March. Because it does take me a year to write them, sadly. Yeah, because drawing takes a lot more of the time than writing, actually, because I can only move my hand so fast, whereas I can type pretty fast. Yes, down here. Oh, you're still thinking? That's fine.
Come back.
Oh, yeah, he's remembered now. Do you want to go here, because you're here?
Do you think Loki will ever actually manage to get his virtue score above 300? And keep it there?
I can promise nothing. He will definitely go back to Asgard at some point, but whether he's there to stay or not is another question. But I mean, he'll be lucky if he goes above 0, frankly.
He was at 0 in book 4.
Yeah.
And the diary's happy because he might need to reset it.
Yeah. So he could get somewhere in the positive numbers. Yeah.
You know how, like, you really emphasize that he's on the book, and, like, how did you come up with the day, like, at the top you've, like, scribbled on your name so it says Yokai, God of Asgard?
So that wasn't my idea, actually. So someone that I work with, a publisher who kind of puts the book together, and at the publisher I work with someone called the designer. And Jamie's the designer, and he realised that if you kind of took the letters of my name and crossed some of them out, it would be Loki. But it never occurred to me. So actually that was someone else's idea, because sometimes making a book is quite collaborative. Like the audiobook, I have Ben with me, and on that book I have my editor and my designer. So yeah, not all of the ideas are mine, which is I quite like. Yes?
Will there ever be like any other types of giants other than frost giants? Because in Norse myths there are like earth giants and fire giants.
So at some point there will be a fire giant, definitely. And with Hyrrockin, it's never really defined what kind of giant she is, because other than frost giants and fire giants, they're not really as defined. I think of her as a rock giant, though. I think that's just, I don't know why, that's just always been in my head, she's a rock giant. But yes, fire giants will come, or at least one will. Down there.
Why does Loki actually have a diary?
Why does he have a diary? So,
Why did you choose to do it in diary entry, not like an actual story?
so that is because Loki is the god of lies, right? He's a god of mischief. And I was thinking, if I'm telling the story from the point of view of a character who lies all the time, I need something that allows the reader to trust something that's happening. So that's why I decided he was going to have to, as part of his punishment, he writes in this diary. And that's where I came up with the idea of Odin's voice, checking if he's lying or not. Because then you know, as the reader, this is actually what happened. Obviously, Loki tells things in such a way that it's not always 100% accurate, but it's close enough. Because otherwise, you'd be doubting every single thing that happened because Loki's telling you it.
Firstly, the diary is like one of my favourite characters.
I love him, yeah.
Funny. But also, I don't know how far your publisher
Yes.
let you go with words. But there is a movie, who gets the Avengers. My friend dragged me into it. I've watched it once.
Yep.
There's this character who's basically insulting, I think, Thor, I think it was,
Mm-hmm.
Loki. And he said, so you need to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then he'll allow you to get back to that Asgard place.
Asgard. One day I will write Asgard, I promise. It's right there in the name. Right, so
Is any other last question at all, or is that?
you can come and ask me stuff while I sign things as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. Well, just very quickly then. So, say big thank you to Louie Stowell. Would you all have a round of applause for her?
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Louie. So we've now got to the point that I mentioned earlier with our Inclusive Voices short story competition. Now, this was a competition we had which ran from March to August this year, and it was open to all ages and abilities. Entries could be submitted in any format, so written, audio or video, and it could be a story, a poetry or play format, and it had to be 550 words or less, and feature a character with a print disability. Now, we were thrilled to have 121 entrants across all age categories for this, and we thoroughly enjoyed reading through all the submissions, along with our fantastic panel of judges, who were children's author Julia Green, children's author and illustrator Dave Shelton, founder of Mixed Reality and Just Like Me augmented reality books, that was Pamela Ackley, and editor of the Week Junior magazine Vanessa Harris, who all gave up their time freely to take part, and without whom we couldn't have done it. And I believe we've got Dave and Pamela in the audience today. Do you want to give a wave? Is that right? Hey. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm delighted to say that 2 of the winners in the children's categories have been able to come today, so we can give their prizes to them. So firstly, I'd like to announce our second place winner in the 0 to 11 age category, who is Hannah Mitchell. And her story, Charlotte's Holiday Surprise. Hannah's story features Charlotte, who loves books but has difficulty reading. And when she sets off on holiday with her parents, she finds she's forgotten her glasses, but she needs to read her books, which causes her to worry until her parents surprise her with a gift of new glasses in the end. The judges said that Hannah's story is heartwarming and imaginative, and the way Charlotte's parents support her in the end sent such a positive message about love and acceptance. So can we have a round of applause for Hannah, please?
Congratulations.
And that's yours as well. There you go. Thank you. Right, and next I'd like to announce our first place winner in the 11 to 17 age category. And that goes to Heather Page with her story that's called Brave. Now, this is about a girl navigating the complexities of school life after being diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy and what that means for her and the struggle to feel accepted among her peers. The judges said Heather's story captures the main character's humour, vulnerability and strength. Their experience of navigating the world with a visual impairment is both insightful and powerful and intelligently written with flair. So, round of applause for Heather, please, for that. Well done, Heather, thank you. And there's your bag as well. Brilliant. Right, so lastly, just before we let you go and come and meet Louie and get your book signed, she'll be signing on this table here. Can I ask you a big favour and just remind you to fill in the feedback forms that you were given on the way in and hand them back to a member of staff before you leave, please. This really, really helps us to improve and plan for future events, so it's really valuable if you can do that for us. If you haven't been given one, then just shout to us because we can give you one as well. So as I said, book selling and all the Calibre goodies there on that table. And then book signing here. But just a big thank you, lastly, to all of you for coming and supporting us today. And just one last big round of applause for Louie for her fantastic talk today as well. So thank you very much for a brilliant afternoon, Louie. That's really kind. Right, so... Yeah, we'll get this off on there. So if anybody wants any books, then obviously you can form a queue just round this way, and then you can come up here for book signing, or bring your books back out up here as well that you've already got.